Good morning, good evening, or good night, my fellow core keepers. My name is Jamison, and welcome to my channel. For today's video, I'll be going over the ins and outs necessary to run a health regen build. And with our intro out of the way, let's get on with the video. Now, I consider making a build of this sort to be a mid to late game build, very similar to our dodge builds in the sense that there are several iterations and variations you can choose to use. And for this video, guys, I will show you the one I believe that sits in the middle of every one of them. And at the end of the video, I'll go over what the other two I like are and show you one of them. I would show you both of them, however, I don't have the items necessary for the second build. For this build, if you're doing it all yourself in single player, you're going to need to have reached the middle tier of Vitality and put all 5 points into Healing Potency. This will give us 30% more healing from health over time regeneration, which is what this health build will do. Next item on the agenda is in our crafting skill tree, located next door to Vitality. And you're going to want to get to the very bottom of the skill tree and at least put 1 point into Jewelry Crafter. But if you're going to power level this skill by making a heap of bridges or something of that nature, just go ahead and put 5 points into Jewelry Crafter, because one of our rings requires the Jewelry Bench. And now for the third and final skill related aspect of this build, and one that I believe to the most important out of this build, is located within the cooking. And to do this, just like our crafting, you're going to have to reach the very bottom of the skill tree and put 5 points into Sharing is Caring, as it will give you a natural half a health per second build that is always active when you're resting. Okay, with our skills broken down and out of the way, let's get on to the items required for this build. So the first items for this build are the ones related to our crafting skill tree, and they are the polished glow tulip rings. And you're going to want to make 2 of them, as they will each give you 1 health per second each, which in conjunction with our skills I mentioned before, will give us 3.2 health every second. And from this point on, it's where the items get a bit trickier, and you're going to have to have beaten the 3 main bosses and gotten access to the wilderness and the Sunken Sea. And speaking of the Sunken Sea, you're going to need 2 items from this location. The first is the golden jellyfish, which is just found in a random chest, randomly spawned on a random island. This item will go in your offhand, and it will give you an extra 1.9 health per second, taking our health per second count as of now up to 5.7. And as for our second item we find in the Sunken Sea, we're going to want the Ocean Heart Necklace, which if you don't know how to get, I have a video showcasing where the PUI for it is. And what this necklace will do is give us an additional 21% more healing from health over time regeneration, which bumps us up to a steady 6.6. This necklace here goes well with our next item, which requires us to go out into the Azios wilderness and kill a heap of caveling gardeners. And that item is our farmer's hat. And what you're going to want to do is reinforce it as well, because by reinforcing its armor piece, instead of giving you its standard 7% health over time, you're going to get 8. Which will then bring our total health per second up to 7. Now from here, you're going to want to add a food item, and because food items are food items, you can only use 1. And for this, I find there are 2 options that work quite well. One is the Heartberry Soda, and the other is the Epic Juicy Berry Pudding. This Epic Juicy Berry Pudding is made by using 1 golden heartberry and 1 papaya. And you get the epic by having your cooking skill tree maxed out, and you just randomly will get it with your cooked food. And the other one is our Heartberry Soda, which you can buy at one of the vending machines you find in the Sunken Sea that you can choose to take home with you. Now of these 2 items, I do prefer to use the Epic Juicy Berry Pudding, as because in the 26 seconds it gives you, you only use 1 of them, and you'll get more health over that time frame than you will if you consume 2 or more of the sodas, which only last for 10 seconds. But For the sake of this video, I'll show you what both of them do. If you consume one soda, for 10 seconds, your health regen will go up to 31.5 per second. But if you choose to use the epic juicy berry pudding, not only will you boost your overall health, your melee and other skills, you will only get 21.9 health per second, but it will last twice as long. So if you're not actively going into combat with a boss or a big mob, choose this for more health over time, rather than lots of health in a short time frame. But either way, both work well. And if you really want to double down, you could eat the berry pudding first, and then eat the soda, because the soda will override the berry pudding's health regen effect, but you will keep all the other stat boosts from the berry pudding. And that is that for this build, guys. I did promise you to go over the other two, so I'll briefly say what the one I can't do at the moment is, and that is an even higher health per second build. You do everything the same as I've mentioned, except you swap out our two glow rings here for the Caveling Mother's Ring, which will give you 1.7 health per second per ring. And if you're worried about losing your glow, our Octarine bag, which you craft at the Octarine bench over here, will now give you glow, so you can handle losing your mining orb lantern and the glow rings. Now, as for the other variation of this build that I said I can show you, well, this one will focus more on increasing your dodge chance at the expense of 0.2 health regen per second, which is very minuscule in the grand scheme of things. And to do this variation of the build, you're going to need to have a couple skill tree things unlocked. The first is located in our running skill tree, and it requires you to max out the second stat, which is balanced stance, which means you get 25% dodge when standing still. And for the next one, you're going to want to have your fishing skill tree maxed out to the 3rd tier and have studied patterns. By doing this, you'll have an additional 10%. And now, as for the items required for this build, you're going to need to have obtained a shiny egg from the Easter event, summoned and battled the awakened Arceus, and gotten your hands on 2 of the Ostara rings, which will give you 0.9 health regen per second per ring, along with 7% dodge per ring. So by adding these 2 rings to our fingers, we will lose 0.2 health regen per second, but gain ourselves 14 extra dodge, bringing our dodge percentage up to 49, which means 1 in every 2 hits will miss your character. And by combining it with our berry pudding and our soda, like so, you can see that it gives you 31.2 health per second instead of the 31.5. And that's this build in a nutshell, guys. There's 3 different ways to do it. Let me know in the comments which one's your favourite. But that's where I'll conclude this video, guys. If you liked it, like it. If you didn't like it, by all means dislike it. And if you'd like to leave some feedback on this video, a suggestion for a future one, or you'd just like to say g'day, drop me a comment down below. And if you'd really like to help myself and the channel out, please don't be a stranger. Consider hitting that subscribe button. Once again, my name is Jamison, and I'll see you all in the next video.